was the most beautiful simultaneous swap I've seen.
So it looks like a Defense Deoxys versus a Azumarill in the lead. It'll be interesting to see what movesets they're each running. This Deoxys is opting for Rock Slide and Psycho Boost here, which makes the Azumarill matchup a little worse, not having Thunderbolt, but spamming off those Psycho Boosts is still pretty good. And I'm expecting this to be an Ice Beam with how quickly it came out. Oh, Play Rough. Okay, I'm wrong. What do I know? Clearly, I need to learn how to count fast nukes.
We only need, what, I think it's one more bubble to get to a Play Rough from Ice Beam? I'm not sure.
And so the Azumarill does shield that one. Probably just wanting to try to win this lead.
I wouldn't feel too pressured.
There's the Ice Beam, though.
Now we see it. So I think at this point, then, it was a good thing from the opposing side that we actually landed the Play Rough unshielded.
Definitely. Right? And now they're both getting pretty low. Oh, well, I think that was good counting on the opponent's side to get that charge move off right before the Psycho Boost, because now the Deoxys was forced to burn another shield. And so now the Azumarill player... Oh, and we have both shields down from both sides. The Deoxys barely getting off that Psycho Boost. I think they both wanted switch advantage here. And that definitely hurts, burning that last shield, hoping to get switch advantage and then not. Coming in with the Deoxys isn't bad, though Altaria is definitely a pretty good counter to it. But it'll be interesting to see with that slight energy lead if it can take advantage. No Rock Slide though, so that definitely makes this a harder matchup for the Deoxys for sure.
So it might be safe to assume at this point, since they haven't switched out from their Deoxys and they're going straight Psycho Boost, obviously, that it has Thunderbolt.
Oh man, and switching into the Umbreon, trying to preserve that Deoxys, but getting counter swapped by an Azumarill here. At least they do have that last resort. Oh, and interesting, this player is running the Ice Beam Hydro Pump moveset on Azumarill.
No Play Rough stuff.
So they are sacrificing the mirror, as well as their Umbreon matchup is maybe a little bit worse. But they definitely do, pick up, with Ice Beam you get the better Altaria and Grass type matchups, and then Hydro Pump gives you those Steel type matchups. So not too bad a spot to be in here.
And lacking Stab, it's not like Last Resort is going to TKO in this matchup either.
Definitely. But because they don't have that Play Rough, they were, I think maybe used a little more energy because they had to do the Hydro Pump and the Ice Beam to KO. But at this point, it's GG, or almost GG. That Dragon Pulse does quite a bit of damage, chipping down with the Dragon Breaths. And even though the Altaria is going to go down here, the Azumarill should come back in to just feint down the Deoxys with a bubble.
Bubble down on it. GG.
And they almost timed that one out. I don't know if you saw, but the timer got down to about 13 seconds. That's kind of a trend with these freestyle type matchups because the Pokemon are so bulky, and especially if you get into stuff like an Umbreon mirror or like an Azumarill mirror, or Umbreon versus Azumarill, where a lot of the moves are resisted. They're just slowly just kind of trading blows back and forth.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot too. Not even just the Elite Trainer playoffs, but in higher skilled and higher tiered battles, period. You'll see those, they don't want to swap out. They want to retain that lead advantage and that switch advantage. They don't want to lose the switch advantage, so they'd rather stay in and have the painful matchup.
Yeah, speaking of that, I wonder if, in that match we just saw, in the lead, if the opponent maybe hadn't used that last shield, if they could have won, because like I said, I think they were both trying for that switch advantage, but the opponent ended up losing switch advantage and burning their last shield to block not that much damage. But they might have been able to overcome that matchup with an extra shield.
Oh wait, did that say Fire Fang? Dang, it said FF. Watch that be a Fire Fang. Gosh dang it!
All right, so Altaria versus Azumarill in the lead. This is not the best matchup for Altaria, but I don't know if we know. Do we know the full Azumarill moveset? Because Azumarill without Ice Beam definitely isn't quite as dominant in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't think we know on the opposing side.
Oh, it is Ice Beam. Yeah, because just Play Rough doesn't do quite as much damage as an Ice Beam does, and it's more energy. So the Play Rough Azumarill isn't quite as convincing. Because, you know, Altaria still hits for neutral with those sky attacks.
Double sky attack, actually. That's very nice. I think we needed that double sky attack.
Oh, interesting. Burning a shield here, and then opting to just farm down with Bubble at that point. So Venusaur is kind of a easy choice here coming in, especially with a shield advantage. You can shield this Ice Beam and maybe elect to farm a little here. Oh, I guess you can elect to
double shield.
It should be able to tank this Ice Beam, and probably a decent play to tank it, just so you don't get farmed by a potential flyer.
And there it is.
It is Fire Fang. I called it.
Fire Fang. Hey, I'm just saying. I think Bite would have been more ideal right now.
I mean, sure, for the Defense Deoxys matchup, I could talk. And yeah, not a great place to be in at this point. This Mawile is just going to get kind of taken out. Going for the Play Rough, which will do quite a bit of damage if it goes unshielded. But Deoxys is pretty tanky, so it does still survive, just barely.
Yeah, that's GG's. Unless you Vine Whip down, it doesn't even look like we do. We have to use a shield here. Not looking good, Mr. Venu. You're not in a happy place.
Yeah, because the opponent still has a shield. So,
what's in the back? I don't remember what's in the back. Even if we double Frenzy into this Azumarill, we do double Frenzy into the Azumarill.
It's still so low, though. I don't know if it can survive really any faster.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no a Swampert could. It's a Skarm farm. GG's. That was an interesting match. Do you think in that match bringing the Mawile is what flipped things around? Do you think they would have played better?
The Mawile definitely ended up hurting them, because it did pretty poorly against the Defense Deoxys, and obviously the Azumarill matchup isn't great either. So they were really hoping to line that Mawile up with that Skarmory in the back, which didn't happen.
Was this game 3? Wait, where are we at for the matchups? Is this 1-1?
It's 1-1.
1-1?
1-1 game 3 now. So we have a Azumarill lead against a Azumarill. This is one place that not having the Play Rough is going to hurt. And so that's why we have that immediate swap into Defense Deoxys here. The opponent is electing to stay in at this point. Probably wanting, either they don't have a good answer or they're wanting to do some chip damage before switching out. It looks like a little slow there, but yeah, they were just wanting to do that chip damage before swapping out. The Deoxys is going to be able to tank that Rock Slide a little bit better, neutralizing this energy to an extent.
Now we know for sure. Did we even know for sure in the previous battles the complete moveset of the opposing Azumarill? I mean, now we've seen both, right? We know for sure it has Ice Beam and Play Rough.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But just spamming off those Rock Slides finally gets a shield. And it'll be interesting to see if... so they do match shields here. Shielding a Psycho Boost is not the best. And now they've kind of committed, though, so I wonder if they're going to double shield here. No shield, getting the Deoxys taken out. But at this point, the opposing Deoxys is so low. Barely not able to farm it down with Bubble. But
should be a Thunderbolt. Oh, wow.
Only a Psycho Boost. Well called there. And at this point, has a full Hydro Pump ready to go. So good play with the no shield and just farming down with Bubble, building up a ton of energy.
Swap.
But again, that less than ideal matchup This is probably going to be a play rough though, so if it is,
Yeah.
Well-timed switch to tank that.
Well timed indeed. He caught that.
Oh man, I don't think tanking that was necessarily worth it, because now they're just getting Skarm farmed.
This is no good. No good indeed.
Definitely, it's always a really risky play to switch a grass type in when they could have a Skarmory, and definitely got punished there. Tanking the play rough helped a little just because it meant they didn't get farmed as much.
Expect no shield.
Yeah, no shield. They have to save it for the Azumarill in the back.
The baiting with the Ice Beam. Well, I guess it's not so much baiting. It'll still do a decent chunk. And
yeah,
hopefully,
I
guess we can bubble down, I think is what the mission is.
I mean, at this point, that's what they're going to have to do, but I think they were hoping that Ice Beam would get a little bit closer. And at this point, there's just not really a good way back. The opponent has a shield, and this Azumarill doesn't have a ton of health now.
Yeah, even if they did, even if they landed, the Hydro Pump against the Skarmory, even if we live in a perfect world and the Ice Beam KO'd, there still is the Azumarill in the back that has play rough with his shield.
Yeah, and that match we really saw the lack of play rough coming back to hurt them.
Man. The Skarm farm. I don't think we need to talk about that too much. That was the turning point of that match.
I mean, yeah, the Skarm farm combined with the lack of play rough on Azumarill, having to switch out of that Azumarill mirror match, I think hurt them a little bit. Yeah, I think their opponent feels pretty confident bringing Azumarill against them because they know Azumarill is going to win the mirror and then is going to beat that Fire Fang Mawile, and also has the Ice Beam for the Venu.
It's the advantage you get with running the Azumarill that way, I guess. Well, I mean, it depends. It also depends on what the opponent has movesets on their Azumarill.
Definitely.
I'd be really shocked if we saw him come in with the Fire Fang Mawile at all anymore. You never know, though. We'll see.
So Deoxys lead against Skarmory. Deoxys does tend to be favored here, but without Thunderbolt, actually, I think Deoxys might lose this matchup without Thunderbolt. I don't remember this matchup super well off the top of my head now, but lack of Thunderbolt definitely hurts.
Does hurt indeed. I mean, with Rock Slide being more energy efficient, though, it's still kind of an iffy matchup. Especially, with two shields against two shields. Personally, I feel like I'd rather have Rock Slide.
Ooh, and well-timed switch by Picassu to tank that Psycho Boost, but now getting counter-swapped by the Altaria. And Altaria is a pretty good defense Deoxys counter, especially if the Deoxys is not running Rock Slide. But even if it is running Rock Slide, Altaria is pretty decent there. Just resisting that counter damage and racking up the damage itself with Dragon Breath and Sky Attack. And so it looks like no Rock Slide here, which makes the Altaria a bit better in this matchup. Opts to use the shield.
The Altaria.
Oh, but no, they didn't farm that much though.
I think they did not just want to use another shield, scared of them reaching another Psycho Boost.
Yeah, that's fair. But now they're not in a great spot against this Azumarill. At this point, Sky Attack will do some damage, but the Azumarill is probably going to elect to farm a little bit before using an Ice Beam. Oh, and now we have a swap into the Deoxys, able to get to that Psycho Boost. So really well-timed switch, in my opinion. Getting that Altaria out of there, and using that energy they had stored, because now between the Sky Attack and the Psycho Boost, that Azumarill is not looking too hot.
Indeed, and you reached that Psycho Boost in just enough time. Was it actually even a CMP tie between the Psycho Boost and the Ice Beam?
I think it was.
Yeah.
And at this point, Swampert should be able to pick out the Azumarill with just a Hydro Cannon. Just a question of if they want to burn the shield or not, which they do. So at this point, farming up a ton of energy I believe they have 2 Hydro Cannons at this point. So if this gets shielded, which it does, they have another Hydro Cannon back to back.
Get them back to back.
And so that basically, in almost like, just burns that shield really well. And now they're able to get to yet another Hydro Cannon there. So I think that's the first time we've seen that Swampert, but it really put in work there with some great energy management, and electing to wait to fire off that charge move until 2 Hydro Cannons were ready, and able to get the shield first and then get the KO immediately after.
For sure. I mean, forcing it to 2-2 here was a huge play, not only just because of bringing the Swampert, but the way they maneuvered around their team. Like you're saying, with the timing on that switch into the defense form Deoxys to reach the Psycho Boost into the Azu with the CMP tie.
Right, and then because they got the Azu so low, they were able to just take it out with a Hydro Cannon, right? If the Azu was higher, Hydro Cannon probably wouldn't be enough, and then you'd be forced to try to land the Sludge Wave, which takes a lot more energy.
What I'm a big fan of as well is they brought the Skarm in the back again. So the Skarm farm is not going to happen today. We have the Swampert in the back today. Is this it? Oh, here we go. This is it. So Deoxys into
Azumarill in the lead. So yeah, a little bit favored here, but it's definitely, like we've said, pretty close. So it'll be interesting to see if Picassu opts to switch out at some point, or if they're just going to stay in this.
We see a shield. I don't know if that was a terrible idea, actually, because we know that Azu has play rough, right? Do you think that was a bad call to shield to play rough? It could have been Ice Beam. Could have been a bait.
I think they're just wanting to negate damage on the Deoxys and try to keep it healthy for the next fight. And they're probably expecting the opponent to go straight play rough first. I think you'll see a lot of the time in these matchups with tankier Mons that people don't usually shield early on, so you can usually sneak through those heavier hitting moves, and then use those lesser charge moves later.
Trying to swap out instead of just going for the rock slide, so he saved that energy he built up. He opts for the Swamp versus Skarm pretty early in this battle, though. What do you think about that?
I mean, Swamp versus Skarm, usually Swampert's favored here, but because he swapped in a little late, it'll be interesting to see what repercussions that has.
Because now you have almost nothing left, and you do use a shield. I guess it would make you less farmable from this point on after you land the Hydro Cannon.
Yeah, but at this point, it'll be a question of if you can get to another Hydro Cannon or Skarm takes you out.
They got it. I'm actually kind of shocked that they even reached it.
That was
looked
close.
Like they definitely were not going to reach that Hydro Cannon. That was clutch. I think they needed that.
Oh man, and that Deoxys has a ton of energy. But opting for the Altaria mirror here, it seems like both. Oh, I think that's probably a Sky Attack though.
Yeah, well, he still has the Azu, right? So I think that was the right play. There it is. Did you see that, dude? What?
That was like a simultaneous switch.
That was the most beautiful simultaneous swap I've seen. He knew he still had the Azu in the back. He opted for the Altaria mirror. That he switched exactly when they swapped. Zigged when he should have zagged. Oh my gosh, dude.
But yeah, well played by Henksuli there. Knowing that he could get to that Dragon Pulse. And I wonder, I think the Picassu, opting for the Sky Attack instead of the Dragon Pulse may have cost him there. But at the same time, if you go for the Dragon Pulse, you risk Henksuli using a Sky Attack and then switching into the Deoxys and KOing before you get to a charge move. So it's definitely a difficult decision there.
Dang. All of these were good. I'm not going to lie. Every single one of these playoffs were completely amazing. Especially, I mean, to top it off, those plays we saw in these last matches with, Henksuli and Picassu.
Yeah,
Those were some very, very good battles.
definitely.